Finland has surprised me more than almost any country I've visited. I arrived expecting cold, quiet, and forests, and got all of that, but also castles on lakes, saunas that have been running for a century, wooden old towns nobody talks about, and a capital city that turned out to be one of the most interesting in Northern Europe. Let's go through all of it properly. Welcome to Optimized Travel Destinations. My name is Teresa, and I am part of the OptimizedTravel.com team. We help travelers plan amazing trips through our concierge service, and our team has put together the absolute best places Finland has to offer. These are the 10 best places to visit in Finland. Let's get started. Number 10. Hanko. Hanko is Finland's southernmost town, and it has a very particular quality, like a place that has an elegant past and never fully modernized away from it. The Art Nouveau wooden villas from the early 1900s are still standing along the shoreline. There are long sandy beaches that are almost empty outside of the Finnish summer. And on the rocks at Hauensuoli, there are hundreds of sailors' names carved into the stone, going back centuries. They were sheltering here while they waited for favorable winds. It's one of the most quietly moving things I have found in Finland. Hanko sits on a narrow peninsula extending into the Baltic Sea in southwest Finland, about 130 kilometers west of Helsinki and roughly 2 hours by train. It's close enough for a day trip, though an overnight is worthwhile, especially in the summer. The town has a turn-of-the-century resort atmosphere that feels genuinely preserved rather than reconstructed. Walk the villa streets in the evening, and it's easy to imagine the summer season of 100 years ago. The beaches here are the best in Finland. Long, sandy, backed by pine forest, rarely crowded. Come in July for the full summer experience. Number 9. Rauma. Rauma has the finest preserved wooden old town in Scandinavia. I want to be precise about that, not one of the finest, the finest. UNESCO thought so too, and almost nobody outside Finland seems to know it exists. I walked in from the train station and spent the next 3 hours just wandering, not trying to find anything in particular, just looking at the houses. Rauma sits on the Gulf of Bothnia coast in southwestern Finland, about 2 hours north of Turku by bus, and also accessible from Pori. A half day is enough for the old town, though a full day lets you linger. The wooden houses are close together, painted in pinks, yellows, and blues, with the kind of decorative detail that only comes from generations of craftsmanship. The city has been here since the Middle Ages, and the wooden buildings date mostly from the 18th and 19th centuries. The scale is intimate. This isn't a monumental old town, it's a lived-in one, and that's exactly why it works. Rauma also has a lace-making tradition, bobbin lace, which has been made here for centuries. And the Lace Museum is interesting, even if you wouldn't have thought lace could hold your attention for an hour. It does. If you're driving the Finnish coast, Rauma is a mandatory stop. 2 or 3 hours is enough to walk the old town properly. Number 8. Koli National Park. There's a view from Koli that Finns call the national landscape of Finland. Forested hills rising above a vast lake, birch and pine going right to the water's edge, islands scattered across the surface. In autumn, the ruska color turns everything red and orange and gold, and the whole thing looks like it was painted. I came in October and kept taking photographs that never quite captured what it actually felt like to stand there. Koli National Park sits in North Karelia in eastern Finland, above Lake Pielinen, about 5 hours northeast of Helsinki, by train to Joensuu and then bus. 2 nights is the right amount, 1 full day on the ridge and 1 on the lake. Jean Sibelius came here when he was composing Finlandia, and you can absolutely understand why. The landscape feels like it expresses something essential about Finland itself. The hiking trails on the Koli Ridge are well maintained, and the views keep changing as you move. Even in summer when the lake is calm and blue below, It's one of the most beautiful places in Finland, though plan for autumn if you can. If you come for Ruska, come in the last 2 weeks of September or first week of October, and book accommodations early. The Finnish love of Koli means it fills up completely. Number 7. Åland Islands. The Åland Islands are an autonomous, Swedish-speaking archipelago that's technically part of Finland, existing in a kind of pleasant political ambiguity that nobody there seems especially concerned about. The place runs at its own pace. Almost everything closes for lunch, and cycling is the correct mode of transport. The archipelago itself is one of the most quietly beautiful landscapes in the Baltic. Åland lies in the Baltic Sea between Finland and Sweden, with Mariehamn as its capital, accessible by ferry from Turku or Stockholm, with 2 or 3 nights on the main island and cycling as your main way of getting around. Kastelholm Castle is the medieval fortress in the middle of the main island, and it's better than I expected. Properly atmospheric and well-preserved. Its exhibitions explain the island's unusual political history in a way that's actually interesting. Mariehamn itself is a small harbor town with wooden Art Nouveau houses, a maritime museum, and a pace of life that makes you want to extend your stay. The cafe culture is Swedish in character and extremely good. The ferry from Turku is an experience in itself. You pass through Finnish archipelago for hours before reaching Åland, so take the daytime sailing and sit on deck. Number 6. Porvoo. Porvoo is the second oldest town in Finland, and its red riverside warehouses are an image you've probably seen without knowing it. They're genuinely as good in person as in photographs. Deep red reflected in the river and backed by wooden old town houses climbing the hill. I arrived by summer boat from Helsinki, which is absolutely the right way to see the town for the first time. The river approach gives you the whole picture at once. Porvoo sits on the Porvoojoki River in Uusimaa region, about 50 kilometers east of Helsinki, reachable by bus, car, or the summer boat from the market square in about 3 hours. It's a perfect full day. The old town on the hill above the warehouses is a pleasure to walk. Cobblestone streets, wooden houses in blues and yellows and whites, and even a medieval cathedral at the top. In autumn, the trees change color and the whole thing goes warm and golden. Brunberg chocolate has been made here since 1871, and the shop in the old town is a mandatory stop. I recommend getting the suklapasu. You'll understand immediately why this place has been running for 150 years. Take the summer boat from Helsinki in the morning. It's 3 hours on the river with the most pleasant commute imaginable. Come back by bus in the evening. Number 5. Savonlinna. Rovaniemi is a medieval castle built on a small rocky island in the middle of a lake. Every July, the castle courtyard becomes an opera stage. Performances under the open sky with the lake visible behind the stage and the towers rising above the audience. I realize that's a very specific combination of things, but it works so perfectly, it seems like it was designed this way rather than just having evolved over a century. Savonlinna sits on the lake district of South Savo in eastern Finland, about 5 hours from Helsinki by train. Plan for 2 nights minimum, 1 for the castle and town, and 1 to get out on the lake. The Savonlinna Opera Festival has been running since 1912. It uses the actual medieval castle. The acoustics are exactly what you'd imagine from stone walls and an open sky. Imperfect in a way that somehow makes the experience better. Book tickets months in advance if you're coming in July. Outside festival season, the castle is still worth a visit. Take a boat out to the island, the towers rising directly out of the water around you, the lake in every direction. It's one of the most dramatically sighted castles in Northern Europe. The surrounding Saimaa lake system is one of the largest in Europe, and exploring it by kayak or canoe for a day or 2 extends the visit perfectly. If you can align your trip with the opera festival in July, do it. If you can't, come anyway. The castles and the lakes are reason enough. Number 4. Tampere. Tampere is the city that made me understand why Finns have a complicated affection for their industrial heritage. The old Finlayson textile factory sits right in the center, its 19th century red brick buildings converted into cinemas and restaurants and studios, the chimney stacks still there as landmarks. It's the best example of industrial reinvention I've seen in the Nordics, and the city built around it is genuinely easy to like. Tampere sits on a narrow ridge between lakes Näsejärvi and Pyhäjärvi in the Pirkanmaa region, about 2 hours from Helsinki by direct train. 2 days works well, one for the factory district and the sauna, one for the ridge and the lakes. The Rajaportti sauna is the oldest public sauna in Finland that's still operating, and an evening there is the authentic Finnish sauna experience. Wood-burning kiuas, very hot, cold plunge in between, strangers talking about nothing much. It's been running since 1906, and it feels like it. Go on a weekday evening when it's less crowded. The Pieniki Ridge runs through the city above the lakes, and the observation tower at the top has the best panorama in Tampere. Both lakes visible simultaneously, the city on the narrow land between them. The cafe at the base of the tower serves donuts that are apparently famous across Finland. They deserve the reputation. Tampere may be Finland's most underrated city, and I'll happily argue that with anyone. It has the food culture, the energy, and the architecture to back up my claim. Number 3. Turku. Turku was Finland's capital for centuries, and even though Helsinki has been the capital since 1812, Turku still carries itself like it knows something the rest of the country doesn't. The restaurants moored along the Ora River, the castle sitting at the river mouth, the archipelago beginning just outside the harbor. It's a city that feels completely comfortable just being itself. Turku sits on the Aura River, where it meets the Baltic in southwest Finland, about 2 hours west of Helsinki by direct train. 2 days is comfortable for doing it properly. The restaurant boats along the Aura are genuinely good. In summer, they put out terraces on the riverbank, and the whole stretch becomes one long outdoor dining scene. Some of the best fish I've had in Finland was at a table right there by the river. Turku Castle at the river mouth is one of the oldest in Finland, and the interior exhibitions are better than you'd expect. Well-designed, covering a long and interesting history. The castle from the water, with the ferries passing behind it, is the image of Turku. The archipelago sea that begins outside Turku Harbor contains more islands than anyone has bothered to count. Take a ferry out to one of the outer islands for the afternoon. It's the easiest way to get a taste of what makes the Finnish West Coast special. If I had to choose a second base in Finland after Helsinki, it would be Turku. 2 days here with half a day on the archipelago. Number 2. Rovaniemi. Rovaniemi is the official hometown of Santa Claus and one of the best bases for northern lights in Europe. These two things coexist in a way that's more charming than it has any right to be. Children arrive for the magic of the Santa village. Adults arrive for the sky. Everyone leaves slightly changed by the Finnish Arctic. Rovaniemi sits right on the Arctic Circle in Finnish Lapland, about 900 kilometers north of Helsinki. It's reachable by overnight train or flight, but I'd recommend the train. You fall asleep in southern Finland and wake up above the Arctic Circle. Plan for at least 3 nights. The northern lights here are best November through February. The city is well set up for excursions. Snowshoe treks into the forest, reindeer safaris, ice fishing, and dedicated aurora hunting trips that take you into the dark countryside away from city lights. The Arcticum Museum is fascinating and often overlooked amid the Santa Village buzz. It covers both Finnish Lapland culture and the Arctic broadly, and the building itself, a long glass ridge extending into the landscape, is one of the best pieces of architecture in northern Finland. The city was rebuilt after World War II to Alvar Aalto's design, and from above you can still see his plan. The city expanding outward like a reindeer's antlers from the central point. It's a detail that makes the place feel intentional in a way that you can carry with you. Before I get to number 1, a quick word about optimized travel. Planning a Finland trip well takes more thought than most people expect. The country is vast, and seasonal differences are extreme, and the gap between a good trip and an extraordinary one often comes down to knowing when to go and how to combine the different regions. Our concierge team plans Finnish trips regularly. Head to optimizedtravel.com or click the link in the description. And now, number 1. Helsinki. Helsinki has a quality I struggle to name exactly. It's a capital city that never feels like it's trying too hard. The cathedral is enormous, but the square in front of it is used like any other square. The design culture is world-class, but the city wears it lightly. There are good saunas by the sea. The ferries go to islands with fortresses. It's a city that's been thought about very carefully and never announces the fact. Helsinki sits on a peninsula on the southern coast of Finland, where it meets the Baltic Sea. It's the capital and largest city, and well connected by air from across Europe and by ferry from Tallinn and Stockholm. I recommend 3 nights being the minimum here, if you want to experience it properly. The city on days 1 and 2, Savonlinna and a sauna on day 3. The Tampere church is the one that stops people entirely. It's carved into a solid rock outcrop in the middle of a residential neighborhood. The interior is excavated, and the ceiling is made of copper wire coiled in a spiral, with natural light coming in through the copper ring at the top, and acoustics that are simply extraordinary. You'll find it on a normal street and then go inside, and it's unlike any space you've been in. I've taken multiple people here who didn't know what to expect, and the reaction is always the same. Savonlinna is the sea fortress on islands in the Helsinki harbor. It's inhabited year-round and reached by a 15-minute public ferry from the market square. In summer, it fills with picnickers, and in winter, it's almost completely quiet. Both versions are good. The ferry view of Helsinki returning to the city is one of the best in the Nordics. Loila is a sauna complex built right on the sea, with the building emerging from the rock at the waterline. You use the sauna, step outside, and jump into the Baltic. In December, with snow on the rocks and the Baltic near freezing, it's the kind of experience that resets your entire nervous system. My favorite Helsinki morning is the market square by the harbor at 8 a.m. The boats, the coffee, the stalls, and the cathedral across the water. It's simple and perfect. These are the 10 best places to visit in Finland. From the carved sailors' names at Hanko and the opera castle at Savonlinna, all the way to the Arctic light of Rovaniemi and the rock church in Helsinki. Finland rewards every kilometer you travel into it. If you're ready to start planning, head to optimizedtravel.com. Our team is ready to help you build the perfect Finnish itinerary. And let me know in the comments, Northern Lights in Rovaniemi or opera at Savonlinna Castle? Which would you choose first? Drop it below. We read every single one. If you found this useful, don't forget to subscribe. We cover the world's best destinations every week, and we'd love to have you along.